All right, all right. Looks like we are live today. Wonderful. Hey, everyone, welcome in. If you are joining us, joining me today, we're talking about 3 reasons why most corporate exit plans fail and what to do instead. So, I personally experienced two very polarizing corporate layoffs in my career. Same outcome, completely different leadership philosophies, and I want to jump on here today personally because those experiences they changed how I think about career leverage and planning the next move. Because look, most people leave corporate, very few are positioned to leave. And we don't want to make any decisions out of desperation. So we're closing that gap today. So thank you all for tuning in. One thing I want to get clear on, it's the teacher in me, as I want to break down two things. I think there's two signals that are often getting crossed. And I got my Substack community over here. I got YouTube Live. Let's talk about two terms that in this market are being used interchangeably, but they're not the same. For those of us that are saying we are burnt out, or you've heard the term burnt out, it means you need rest. Burnout is what a vacation can fix. Maybe a massage, maybe a date night. But misalignment, that means you need a new direction. So today we're going to cover 3 reasons why your exit plan is failing and what to do instead. Let me know you're here in the comments and do this for me because I like to know who's in the building, whether you're catching this live or you're catching a replay. Drop a 1 if you are imagining your life post retirement. Drop a 1 in the comments and drop a 2 if you're thinking about leaving corporate to launch your own business. Because those things kind of they're on the same highway, and I want to make sure that I can speak to both of them. So drop a 1 if you're thinking about you've done your 20 years somewhere and you say, "You know what? It's time for me to say my goodbye." Another thing is the environment that you work in, it's time to go. I don't even want to dress it up cute. It's time to go. Okay. And for those of you tapped in, if you want the link to Thursday's free corporate exit planning I'm having this week, drop the word build. I'll send it to you. I got a 1 and a 2. I see you, Darius. So Darius is near retirement, but he's also ready to go. So today we're talking about reasons your corporate exit plan is failing or it's not going to have you in an ideal setup because most corporate professionals are undervalued. Here's the key word: undervalued the moment they step out the building. So inside the building, inside the corporate container, your the title, you got the title, the company, and the budget to do the talking for you. The moment you leave that infrastructure, you're starting over in how people perceive you, how people perceive your value. So we can choose to be in reactive mode and hustle mode in this culture that's highly promoted. But I stand on the side of planning that gives you the steady control of what can be controlled, right? And getting ahead of it. Because I'm here to tell you all, YouTube, Substack, LinkedIn, those of you tapped in with me today, what you don't own owns you. Somebody drop that in the chat for me. What you don't own owns you. Okay. So when we get right. So when we get into planning this, let's talk about the identity obstacle. I want to get a little bit technical if you allow me. This what does that look like? That looks like you've been the title so long that when you are at a dinner party or Christmas party, I'm gonna give you a real world example. And for example, you're in between jobs. There's some people that don't even know how to introduce themselves without saying what they do. So let's talk about the identity obstacle, if you will. So you've been your title for so long you don't know what's coming without it. So this isn't necessarily a mindset problem. I like to think of it as a positioning problem. It's again, it's when someone says, "What do you do? What do you say?" And if your answer starts with your old job title and what you used to do, you're still building someone else's brand. If you're still introducing yourself by your old title, so this is the mindset. For those of you still working, this is the unlearning piece of it. Okay. Here's now you heard the word positioning. Here's the gap. Here's the gap. Most corporate professionals, as soon as they leave the building, they feel undervalued. They go into hustle mode, and that's just a situation we don't want to be in. We don't want to be where we're straddling the fence. We want to pick a side here. So I want to give you this the backstory. I kicked this live off. I've experienced two very different layoffs. One in 2016 and one in 2021. The first one, very chaotic, no warning, no real communication. It's just the kind of moment that reminds you very quickly that no matter how hard you work, you're still operating on someone's system. So when that happened, it forced the question I wasn't ready to answer. How much of this authority actually belongs to me? And how much belongs to the badge? Can any of you resonate out there? Because that moment, and I'm just being transparent, if you will, that moment I didn't have that senior account attached to my name, or that I could say that I work for a highly recognizable US Fortune 50 company. That moment, I didn't have that infrastructure. I realized I didn't even know how to talk about my value. And I started introducing myself on what I used to be instead of what I could do. So that's a piece of the identity obstacle. For those of you, specifically those that are near retirement, you've been the title for so long, you don't know how to express that. So here's the thing. Most people don't start thinking about how to leverage all that they did, all that value. I like to call it corporate currency. That's your skills, your expertise, and your background. That is your corporate currency. It's a transferable skill. And most people don't start thinking about leveraging that or the portability of that or independence until disruption forces the question. I just saw a headline. Now, we kicked off the year. Amazon, high, I mean, they huge wave, almost 30,000 layoffs in the US here. But just this week, Square, which is Jack Dorsey, for those of you, he's the prior CEO and founder of what was Twitter. He just announced a round of layoffs, and he had, one of his touting things of working at a Jack Dorsey corporation was the environment, the culture. So he just announced a round of layoffs. I'm sure is highly grounded in the use of AI within his company. So let me tell you about the people that make the headlines. The people that make the headlines is that big number. 14,000 people were laid off, but they don't talk about the people that was able to read the market before it happened. And those of you on the live today, you are the people that you won't make them headline, but you also won't be in scramble mode. Does that make sense? Because you read the market, you saw some things, and you decided to start to build your own. And that was the difference with my second corporate layoff, is because the market was giving signal. So I chose to skill stack, build some skills that were transferable and marketable so I can start to build income and understand how to bridge out of corporate and not sacrifice income stability. Does that make sense? Y'all with me? Let me know in the comments if y'all with me. So that's why I spend so much time talking about stacking leverage before you need it. Now, not everybody should leave corporate. That's not what this is about. But because in today's economy, the most powerful professionals are the ones who can move and can breathe and do not feel stuck. And once you see that pattern, I've seen that pattern. I've seen it in a chaotic state, and I've seen it happen in a proactive state. So all those gingerbread crumbs that came together is what I now support other professionals in building that exit plan. Okay? You stop building someone else's brand and you start building your own authority while the key is while you still have leverage to do it. Okay, so that's exactly what we're doing. Thursday of this week, we're fixing the identity problem before you walk out the door. Okay, so if you're getting value from this, make sure you're registered. For those of you on Substack, DM me the word build, and I'll make sure you have the link to register for this Thursday's free. It's a virtual workshop. We're going deep into planning. But another thing I want to offer you all that join the room live is we're going deep on this, and I'm sharing three, I think three, maybe four. I'm sharing 3 or 4 of the top AI tools to build income while you're employed. Because if you're like me, you likely don't have the team, you won't have the systems, but we are going to utilize AI in this transition period to support the bridge out of corporate. So that's only for the people that show up live. So drop build, let me know, DM me the word build or comment it below, and I'll make sure you get the link to register. Okay. So here's another. I want to go on because here is the main one of the main points I see is the credibility. Okay. And it's when your resume tells your story and you've leaned on that, but it can't sell your entrepreneurial one. The skills are real, the experience is real, but the packaging, it's wrong for what's next. So there's a translation that has to happen, and most people skip it entirely. They move on, speak in corporate speak in an entrepreneurial space. And that is not what the market is calling for, particularly now in this overload of information. So let me know in the chat, have you ever thought about leaving but didn't know how to do it without losing income? Because that's a real thing. I think that's the main thing I hear is just having that bridge to where so much of the income stability is not shaken. And I understand it and I get it. I absolutely get it. But I do want to say one thing for those of you tapping in. The best time to build your exit plan is before you need it, before you resign or retire. And these 90 minutes this week that I plan on going in, we're going to build it live. It can save you years of rebuilding. Years of rebuilding. Okay, Paul, I'll definitely get you the link over as soon as this live ends. So again, I'm just came on here for just a quick moment because I wanted to drop those three things. I do want to recap here for those of you that jumped online. What we were discussing is reasons why a corporate exit is failing, or it's not going to give you the best and the most leverage setup. So we talked about the positioning gap. That's when you're undervalued as soon as you leave, and then you feel very safe inside the title, the company, and the budget. It does the talking for you, but the moment you leave, your perception of value drops. So we talked about the positioning gap. Okay, then we went on. We talked about just having an obstacle of who you are, that identity. And a lot of people, I use the example, and I can't hammer it down hard enough. How do you introduce yourself? How do you train yourself? Just think about when somebody, that you've never met. How does that conversation usually go? I'll wait because I know in certain settings, what do you do? And that gives people almost a triggering reaction when they didn't build out that plan when they left corporate, right? And it can be, and this goes for retired or resigned or you were laid off. Okay. And then the third point that we went over on building out that, and we're going to go deep on this on Thursday. I just wanted to come and just jump on and give you the gist of what it is, that credibility transfer. You've built so much over the years, right? And I get it, passion. I'm for it, but we got to get you paid. So there's three things I often talk about with my community and my clients is one thing, you have the corporate currency. You have the skills, you have the experience, you have the background. And for the people I work with, they're like me, we're highly degreed. And then you take that and you figure out, hindsight, what you really enjoy doing. Or we can reverse engineer that. What did you not like doing? That's another thing. Process of elimination. But here's the thing with those two elements. If the market won't pay you for that, and there's no demand, we have a broken bridge. We have a broken bridge. We got to get paid. So that's the elements of having a career sweet spot. Again, your resume tells your corporate story, it tells it well, but it doesn't necessarily sell your entrepreneurial story. Okay. So, last call, I'm dropping off here. If I got a couple people here that I will get the links to you to join me free. I'm on Central Time. That'll be Thursday, 6 p.m. We're going to build out corporate exit plans live in 90 minutes. You're going to have what I call your exit readiness score. You'll know exactly where you stand. You'll know that in the first 15 minutes. Okay. Then we're going to move on to what I call your strategic exit. This is your pathway. This is how you protect your income. Also, your reputation, because we're going to leverage the people that we've met along the way in those relationships. And in those 90 minutes, we're going to talk about a realistic exit timeline, because I know some people are ready to go today. But we don't move off of emotion. We're going to base it off of financial position, and we're going to base it off of market leverage. I just talked about that. Can you get paid? And then for those of you that are in the room live, I haven't figured out if I'm going to send out the replay on this planning session, but I am sharing 3 AI tools that I absolutely recommend I use in my own agency for building income. Here's the key: while you still are employed, right? Building income while you still are at your job. And these are the exact tools that my clients use without quitting first. Okay. So that's for those of you that are live in the room. We're going to build that plan together before you resign, before you retire. Those 90 minutes are going to save you some years of rebuilding. So drop build in the comments one last time. And one more thing, if this helped you, send it to someone who's been talking about leaving corporate but hasn't made that move. Substack, I'll make sure that the replay is up pretty quick, but send it to someone because it's quite a crossroads, and they probably need to hear this. Okay. You all take care. I know it was fast today, but we're going to go deep on Thursday. So I'll see you in the room.